All right. Well, we have a crazy story today about a Toyota Tundra. Wes is with us here today. Wes, when you sent the email, I thought, oh, it's another burned Tundra. I've seen several of them. But then there was something in your email that made me think, even if I wasn't a Tundra owner, I'm not sure how I would react in that situation. And I thought that even just that will be probably valuable for someone to get out of this, even if you don't own a Tundra. But yeah, if you want to introduce yourself, give as much or little detail as you want, and then we'll get into the story.
Yeah, hi, I'm Wes Parker, and I'm telling my story about a 2023 Tundra with 46,000 miles on it, still under factory warranty. Never been any place but the dealer for maintenance, so nobody's touched that thing other than dealer maintenance. I mean, I haven't even been to an oil change place. Everything's been done at the dealer. I guess I could just start in. I'm telling what happened here, but we were going to a car show in Tennessee on our way up from Central Texas, and driving through Central Arkansas, and IH-30, heavy traffic, and I'm in the left lane doing 70, pulling a trailer with my car on the trailer, and no warning whatsoever. I mean, we had there was no stumbling in the engine, or no clue whatsoever. And next thing we know, while we're driving down the road, we hear what sounds like a tire blowing out, but I don't feel anything in the steering wheel. There's no sensation in the car. And so I'm thinking, since we're right next to an 18-wheeler, I asked my wife to look out and see if maybe the 18-wheeler had a blowout, or maybe our trailer had shredded a tire or something. I didn't know.
Right.
She looks out and she looks up towards the front wheel, and she sees flames just coming out of the wheel wells. And I immediately started to hit the brakes, and that was when the next surprise come in. I had no brakes, zero. I mean, the pedal went all the way to the floor, and I pumped it many times.
Wow.
And
that's bizarre.
But we were spilling fuel. This is a big leak. I don't know what under the hood could leak this much fuel, but it's a big leak because we were leaving a trail of fire down the freeway. We went from the left lane to the right lane to the shoulder, and then out into the grass as we were going down the road, and we left a trail of fire the whole way.
Oh, wow.
When we got to a stop, the flames on my on the passenger side where my wife was at, they were over the roof of the cab by this time. So, I mean, how long did it take to put? Maybe 30 seconds to get to roll to it. Well, we didn't even roll to a stop. We were still rolling, no brakes, and I tried to reverse. Maybe I could get it to drag to a stop or even park, and all it did was ratchet when I put it into park. We were still going too fast.
Yeah.
And at that point, I left it in park since it wasn't doing anything, and opened my door. I told my wife not to open her door because that would have sucked flames right through the cab of the vehicle. And we opened my door, and we both jumped out while the truck was still rolling. We were probably doing close to 10 miles an hour when we jumped out. It's pretty fast when you're jumping out.
Yeah.
Trying to land, 70-year-old guy trying to land on his feet and not fall out into the traffic going by. But we had to watch out for the 18-wheelers going by. And also, we didn't want to be run over by our own trailer, because if you fall down, that trailer's wider than the truck was.
Wow.
But anyway, we got out, and truck finally stopped, and I got my fire extinguisher out of the car in the back. The car I had on the trailer had a fire extinguisher, but I did not have one in the Tundra, and we used it up. No help. I mean, this was a huge fire.
Yeah.
And, it was no help. Then I guess the next thing that we did was we tried to get my car off the trailer, because as you can see there in that picture, the grass all behind my truck was on fire. And this is an auto transport trailer, which is open in the middle, and the flames were under that one. And so I was back there, looked like doing a Mexican hat dance, trying to stomp out the fire with my feet. And another motorist stopped, and we were able to cut the straps on the car and get that car off. So we did get it off without nothing more than a little bit of soot damage on it. But this was a very exciting situation.
Oh, man. So you were talking about losing the brakes. I think the brake, I'm assuming the brake booster is right on the driver's side, which is odd.
It is, yeah.
That the fire started. You think it started on the passenger side?
And it looks like those are hard lines that come out of the brake controller there. But
yeah, I was thinking maybe they ignited, but yeah, they're usually like super hard stainless steel lines through the ABS module, and then they all route around the engine bay. But that's interesting. I wonder if it was just a fuel leak, or and you said, I think in another email, did you have the recall done, the engine recall?
Yes, in June we had the failure. The engine seized in June while we were driving. We were on vacation in South Texas, and so we took it to the dealership down in Far, Texas. They wound up. We wanted the long block replacement, but they said my vehicle wasn't on the recall. We found out later, of course, it was. But anyway, they did the short block on mine, and we got it back from the dealer in Far, and I mean, it seemed to run fine. But again, I don't know. I don't know if the fire is related to Far, or if it was a manufacturer's defect. I really can't tell you. It acts like it was such a big fuel leak. I'm thinking that maybe one of the quick fuel connectors on the fuel lines, maybe one of those popped loose, wasn't properly put back together, or possibly an aluminum fuel line. Maybe when they were pulling the engine out, they bent it and stretched it and then tried to put it back in, and it had a crack in it and just waiting to go. So, but we had never noticed, with the truck parked in the garage, we had never noticed a fuel smell. So I don't think this leak had been going on for long.
Yeah, I remember seeing, I mean, they've had the recall on, multiple Tundras that were, it was the fuel line recall back by the tank, but yours started up front. So that's different. We've seen a couple on Reddit and some other areas that started in the front, and the firewall blocked it even. But I forget, was yours a hybrid? Or
no, that mine was just the twin turbo.
Yeah. Well, that's probably helpful that it wasn't the hybrid. I mean, once the batteries burn a little bit longer, but I suppose it got back to the tank anyway. So
the left-hand side of the truck it's melted completely, and the fuel tank is completely empty because it melted also.
Yeah.
See a big hole there on the side?
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. And I can't imagine, if I was going down the highway, I'm not sure what I would do. I thought about it when I saw your email. I thought, well, would I know to, would I push the stop start button? Would it work? I mean, if you lose your brakes in these newer cars, like you said, you have these electronic e-brakes, you don't have the pull handles, you don't have the cable driven stuff. And if you pull that electrical e-brake,
it's just a switch.
Yeah. It'll sense that it's got too much pressure from the rotors, and it'll just turn off. So you can't there is no emergency manual part of the newer vehicles with these electronic e-brakes. I wonder why you lost brakes. That's so bizarre.
I can't even guess. I'd really need to have access to a Tundra still intact and try to look for maybe a weak point or something, but it had to be some plastic part that just gave out, and no more brake fluid.
And this is probably goes back to the risk of, when these cab off repairs or these short block repairs that they're doing, they're disrupting so much under the hood that you get it back, and these techs are forced to do it in a certain amount of time. And if they don't, they lose money. And so then they probably rush a little bit. And then, who knows, maybe there was something that just wasn't tightened or wasn't put back perfectly. It may not be a engineering defect. It may be just like you said, related to the recall.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the warranty clerk at the dealership that's a flat rate repair. And what I've been seeing so far, it's only like 15 hours to do the short block. And I'm just thinking, I looked at it and I thought, man, there's no way.
Yeah, to do it with a lot of patience or double checking things, ensuring everything's torqued properly. Like, they probably memorize it, and they probably, of course, a lot of these people just torque by feel. They get good enough and they think they're close enough. But
sure.
These are pretty high-tech engines and a lot of torque angle bolts. They're non-reuse bolts. And you have to wonder how much is really being done to properly rebuild these things at this point. Yeah, and this is the letter that you'd sent that Toyota Corporate is essentially saying, due to the extent of the fire damage, the cause of the origin could not be determined. Based on your review of the claim, we're unable to offer further assistance. And I think, this is my guess, is Toyota is probably concerned about when it burns that hot or that much, it's almost impossible to really determine the root cause, whether it was the tech doing the rebuild or whatever. But the reason the tech's doing the rebuild is because they had a faulty engine in the first place.
Yes. But anyway, and yet it says that they regret they're unable to offer any assistance. And that's true. They did nothing, not a thing.
Yeah, they just say, here you go, insurance.
Yeah.
Take it. Yep.
Yeah,
Which is,
I talked to them today, and they said basically the same thing, that they wouldn't do anything, and they weren't. And unless there was proof that it was their fault, then
right.
It wasn't their fault. So that's what they're saying.
Yeah, and it seems like in cases like this, from what I've seen from almost every manufacturer, it seems like unless people get lawyers, there's no assistance. This is what they do to people. They'll send out a letter and say, sorry, this is what insurance is for, essentially, is what they're telling you.
Yeah, really. Well, if I can kind of interject here, if anybody out there knows of an attorney that'll handle something like this, let me know. Figure out some way to get in touch with me.
I don't know how this would be handled. Obviously it might be worse if your trailer had burned, the car, you got a nice car on it, you've got a lot of stuff in there. I mean, it's
I had a trunk. The bed of the truck was full of parts because I was taking them up for the swap meet at the vintage car show.
Oh, that was that. Okay.
That was solid parts. I mean, that was 50-year-old parts.
Oh, geez.
And yeah, it was full back there.
So that's probably a decent amount of extra valuables in there.
Yeah. Well, it was a swap meet, so I mean, it might have made money on it, might not have. So it's hard to say. But I certainly did not make any money off this pile in the back of the truck.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not much you can do with that. Yeah. It's just wild how hot these things burn once they go, and it must have been a fuel leak, but also could have been. I mean, you smelled fuel, probably fuel, could have been fuel and brake line.
Yeah, we smelled the fuel leak probably less than a minute before it happened. As we were looking around thinking it was a diesel truck or something, that's what we were smelling. And we were actually looking around for it, but didn't ever expect that it was us. Yeah. And when this lit off, it's like having a tire explode under the hood. It's not a small little flame that trickles up. It was a big boom when it lit. So it obviously puked a lot of fuel under the hood before it lit off. Yeah,
that must have been wow. And then, so were the brakes out immediately when you smelled the gas, or were the brakes out
after the explosion? Yeah, after the explosion, and soon, because I was already on, trying to get on the brakes, almost immediately. So whatever happened to the brakes, it took them out quickly.
It was an instant loss of pressure. And then you have a trailer, so it's probably even more noticeable. Something pushing from behind at high speed. That's frightening.
We had surge brakes on the trailer, but you have to have brakes on the truck before the surge brakes will work. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, no help.
Yeah, the truck has to want to stop fast enough to make those surge brakes engage. Wow. Well, I'm glad you guys are okay. Hopefully. Is there anything? I'm trying to think of something that maybe we could tell people to look for, but like you said, I think I'd have to go look under a Tundra hood. If someone's had the recall done, I'm sure there's places where they could trace their fuel lines and just double check the connectors and make sure they're tight, and make sure that someone didn't, if you've had the short block rebuild.
And well, and like I said, you said also the recall is for at the tank, which is behind the cab. And this obviously occurred in the front because that's where we saw the flames. Yeah,
and anyone who's had the engine recall done, so many people have had that short block recall because they weren't included originally in that original recall.
Well, I'm an FAA mechanic, airframe mechanic, and engine mechanic, and I can tell you these engines, even me as a mechanic, to tear one apart and put it back together right, I think it'd be tough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When they do it at the factory, they've got a lot of quality control steps and everything's witnessed and torqued. And I don't want to be too critical of the guy down there because it may not have been his fault, but
right.
When you've got 10 or 15 hours to do this repair and you're doing it in a dirty garage, nah. Yeah. You're just begging for trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, I sure hope this doesn't happen to more people, or honestly, I hope it was something that was forgotten, and not an engineering problem, because then we're just going to see more of this and accidents. And it's funny, people see numbers, they'll see numbers like oh, it only caused 5 accidents or only a couple deaths or something. And it's like, well, if that was your family member, you'd certainly care about those 1 or 2 deaths. And, you know, it doesn't.
Well, we got out for just almost no injuries. I had a little bit of smoke inhalation that was treated when I got back home, but you know, no injuries.
Wow. Yeah, that's even at 10 miles an hour. I mean, I've messed around, you know, jumping out of cars when I was younger. Just we were messing around. I'd be in the passenger seat or something. Even super slow speeds when I was younger was still kind of sketchy. Yeah, I would have been terrified there in your situation. No. Well, so you got insurance now, and then if any, I guess if anybody sees this and wants to reach out, they can contact me, and I'll get you in touch with Wes. If you're a lawyer and you actually think that he's got a case here, hey, reach out, cars@thecarguyonline.com. Yeah, did you want to say anything else, Wes? I cut you off there. Sorry. What are you going to buy next?
I already did. Yeah, I went out and got about 2 weeks ago. I went out and got a new Dodge Ram 1500.
Oh, okay.
With the V8 Hemi, and
nice.
So far very pleased. But I've also heard bad things about them too. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you follow much of my channel, but I bought a 1500, the Hurricane, and I think that Ram, from what I saw, it was like, okay, I can deal with electronic issues. I can deal with some of the problems that people say that the Rams are having, but they weren't having many powertrain issues, which was all I cared about.
Like, if I had known this about Toyota prior to buying it, that would have really influenced my decision. I probably would not have bought the Toyota.
Yeah, and the issue is still going on, as you know, and they expanded the recall, and boy, all signs point to maybe this is a little more than just debris. Maybe it was partially debris, but boy, going on 4 to 5 years now, and just doesn't look good. These things are so complex.
Now, I am very disappointed in Toyota. I really thought they were a more reputable company than this. I would have never guessed on this. So,
I've had it's such a bummer because I was a Toyota fan. I really started this channel thinking I was going to push more people towards Toyota. I've pushed family members and friends towards buying the old 2nd generation Toyota Sequoias, and I've had those with over 200,000 miles on them. People have owned those to 1 million miles, and they're just super reliable vehicles. And then right around 2018, Toyota started changing their cars to the TNGA platform, and then their trucks were a little bit later, trucks and SUVs in like 2022. And that's really when they started having a lot of these quality issues, was just the changeover in their platforms. And it was probably mostly a lot of the problems you see are to save money. They're just using cheaper materials, and it's just, I don't know. I'm not going to make excuses for them anymore. I was all in on Toyota, and now I'm doing these videos. So
yeah, I'm not in on them anymore. I was.
Yeah. My daughter still drives one. I still, their Camry. We've had really good luck with that. Yeah, it's frustrating. I think all companies suffer from the same thing. And then when they get into situations like yours, you see this. I see it with GM and Ford and everybody. They always have to play that game of, well, turn it in on your insurance, because if they admit any sort of failure, then the lawyers come after them, and then it's class actions and millions.
Well, we've already talked to the legal team at the insurance company, and they've given us some advice, and even they can go after them. So the insurance companies can also go after them too. So I'm encouraging that.
Well, I hope you get something more out of it. At least get all your reimbursed.
The way it stands now, we'll probably lose $20,000 on the deal, even with the insurance. But
wow.
We're still going to lose money, but fortunately I'm old enough, I'm retired, and we have enough money that it's not going to break us. It's just terribly inconvenient.
Yeah. And it's one thing to have to go through the situation and come out on the other side and be thankful that you're not injured severely and you guys are okay. But then it's a whole other thing to be like, okay, now it would be nice to be made whole by Toyota or someone and make up some of that gap so that you can live life normally again and not have it be out of your wallet. So, well, I hope that, I don't know, I hope someone reaches out, and I hope maybe litigation will help.
Well, sounds like that's about it then.
Well, thanks, Wes. I appreciate it. I'm sure this has got to help some people. So,
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yep.